How Bizarre is intended for mature, open-minded audiences only. If you are easily offended, we suggest you turn this wacky shit straight off.
So I was telling them I've had nothing but problems lately. My older cat, when I went to Miami, the litter robot I have didn't cycle because it was my fault. I put too much litter in there. So she just started going on any blanket fucking towel left out, and then it migrated to my fucking bed.
Yeah.
And once that happened, I was like, mm-mm. So they haven't been allowed in the bedrooms at all for months, and I had to get a new litter box. Everything's been fine, but today I got home and one of the cats got locked in my bedroom, and she just tore up all the carpet under my door. Like, it's fucking toast. I have to replace the carpet or something. So I'm just fucking over animals and children at this very moment.
You know, I hear you, and I've been dealing with this for a lot of years now, on a few cycles. You know, I had a black lab that I took over from my dad. It was a bird dog who was just a dummy, a big, sweet dummy, but he just could never get, you know, my dad loves his dogs more than most people love their animals, so don't get me wrong. But he has a very specific relationship and a very specific purpose for his dogs. They're bird dogs. He's a hunter. He wants to train them, and when they don't work as bird dogs, he doesn't really love them quite as much as he probably should. So I inherited an 8-year-old dog. And
when was this?
This was, well, I suppose probably around 15 or 16, something like that.
It's been around for a while.
Right before Radar Station. And I also was gifted a puppy from my ex-wife right before Radar Station. So I had a lot to deal with. Actually, I think Jed might have been here before the puppy. It's hard to remember the timeline. Anyway, Jed was already kind of old, so when he started getting older, I was starting to get crazy busy working downtown. So I was gone all the time. And they kind of rewilded, but so did my cats. At that time, my cats were only, you know, they weren't spring chickens, but they were like 9, 10 years old. And they rewilded. And, you know, Yeti died last year, but Betty, his twin, is still around, and she's on her way out. I'm getting pretty close to having to make that sad appointment. But, you know, she's still... I let her out. She goes and basks in the sun. She's able to enjoy life, but she's got kitty dementia. It's so clear that she has kitty dementia. And she's just been shitting on the floor. And Jed did that a couple years before. He wasn't even showing signs of, like, old animal life. Once they start doing that behavior, it really requires attentive
it's a reboot.
retraining.
It's like a cat reboot.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's difficult, and so you have my sympathies, and I could go on and on and on about some of the stuff that I've done, and it's even worse with senior. So how old is your oldest cat?
She's 12. She's getting there, but she's so happy and sweet and mostly healthy. I mean, I took her to the vet after it started
she'll
happening.
Probably be around a while longer.
Yeah, I'm hoping. And I got this other cat that's about 2, and I jokingly call her the worst cat I've ever owned because she's so fucking naughty. But I love her to death.
They understand English, Chris.
I know. I look her in the face. I tell her, you're the worst cat I've ever owned, but I love you.
Well, enjoy your time at work, meow. Looks like I got
this carpet up.
A turtle head poking out. Better make my way to your bedroom. Well, you're the worst owner whose bed upon I've shat.
Real quick, some housekeeping. I'm gonna send us a note in about 40 minutes because I would love to bang 2 out, but I can't sit for longer than 3 hours.
We can't do it unless we hit a time.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say I don't mean to be the dick, but I wanna do it. We can do it. We just gotta know when it's time for shifting gears.
No, I think that's totally fair, and I think it works for everybody. I do want to say before we move on to anything else, and I got a pile of news. When I need to say it more dramatic. When last we spoke, we had talked about a film. / franchise / TV show
here it comes.
called Highlander. And I said, and I was telling the truth, I said that I had seen it once. I saw it way late. I don't remember exactly how long ago I saw it, but I was probably in my late 30s, maybe even early 40s. Saw it way late, considering this came out when I was, 11? Yeah, I was 11 years old when this. 86, yeah. Fucking crazy. And that's part of the thing. Like, I didn't know.
I saw that in the theater.
I could have sworn it was a 90s movie, but I think I was thinking of the TV show, which was either later 80s or early 90s, whatever. But I know, and everyone around me seemed to know Highlander, but I didn't. Now, after the program, you guys talked me into it, and I said, I'm just going to go fucking watch it. And I texted you all. I texted the group chat.
10:26 p.m. You text us.
Was that
and
it?
I happened to have. Okay. Yeah, it was like 10. It was like 10:23.
You got it pulled up.
No, I could read. I'm gonna switch. Can I tell a little bit from my perspective at this point?
Sure.
It was probably the most fun I've had with Ron in a very long time because
we
don't get to hang out
together.
much anymore.
Yeah,
we don't get to hang out much. This is mostly our communication these days. We'll text, randomly throughout the week and whatnot, but. I get this text to the group chat, like 10:23, and I happen, normally I'm bedward bound at this point,
sure,
but I happen to have the next day off, or I'm working from home. I have a day off for something. And Ron says, fuck it, I'm starting Highlander. And I'm like, fuck it, me too. And I fucking put it right on.
I was so excited.
And we were almost
in sync,
yeah, it was great. And we just start fucking we text throughout the whole fucking movie almost. Yeah. Lyle and John Mark checked out. I'm sure John Mark's sleeping.
They didn't weigh in once, so I assume they didn't join in. That's fair.
I think that I was passed out at that point.
Yeah. It was late. It
was clear.
But I finished the whole fucking right to the end. I had to watch the last 5 minutes the next day. I was falling asleep. But
I thought so. Man.
Yeah. What'd you think though? I mean, I got the. I'm gonna share a couple of things.
Well, my favorite part of that whole text thing, and I did. For most of it, but I had to be up early, like at 4:30 in the morning, so I wasn't gonna, embellish in it all. But the one part that got me laughing was you said that you were pretty sure that the castle in Highlander was the same one as the one in Monty Python.
Yeah,
and I was trying to remember what kind of cow slang to text you back, and I couldn't remember what the fuck when the cow goes over the castle.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't that castle. Well, maybe it was that castle. They used a few different castles shot from a few different angles, but from my memory, it's the one at the very end, and the one that, well, maybe it is the one. Well, the French pop up in a couple places, so it's confusing. But the one at the very end of Monty Python, the Holy Grail, and they go to storm it, and it's kind of they have to walk across like the little. First, they sail across it with this little boat, and it's just it's a relatively small castle out on kind of an island thing, surrounded by water. The castle. Oh, remember they found that in the cave of Carbanus, written by Joseph of Arimathea. But I confirmed it. It is the same castle. And it was hard to miss. I said that early on, but they show it from different angles later on. It's like, oh no, that's clearly the castle. I keep going to say castle. The castle. Oh. But yeah, that was one of my first comments. But overall, I mean, I do feel like my original assessment holds true in that Christopher Lambert is just not terribly memorable for me, and he's an odd actor with an odd accent with odd movement, but it does work for this movie, and I could get into it, and I got used to it. But I do remember, or I was confirmed with my memory in thinking that I just can't. It's like he's so unforgettable, or he's so forgettable. I
found his scenes in the flashbacks to be much better for him than the present day.
100%.
And I found myself going down a Highlander rabbit hole the next day. I didn't know this, but he spoke almost zero English when he started filming that movie, or when he got hired.
That's crazy.
It shows.
Yeah, but he did okay. I mean,
he did great. He did way better than I could try to do a movie in whatever his native language was. But that does explain a few things. Yeah.
Well, we'll say we're watching. We turned it on. I have not seen this movie in 15 years plus at this point.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I remember loving it. I love the soundtrack. I love the show. I probably watched it 3 or 4 times, and then even went on to watch the sequels, which were way more Like, talk about not memorable. Oof,
Yeah.
they were bad.
Yeah.
But the first sequence, it starts off at like Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have
Raslin.
this, and wrestling, and they do this like pan around scene, and I'm thinking, how did they do this back then without drones and shit?
I thought
like
the same
that?
thing. Yeah.
I was like, this is remarkable. That sequence of flying around the Madison Square Garden and in through the tunnel and shit. I was like, that must have been tough. And then we get into this fight sequence in the parking garage. And the second that motherfucker does a backflip off the hood of the car, I was like, God, that's bad. I was like, fuck. But I was like, I think I remember this being the weakest of the fight sequences. Like, I really like the other ones better. But
Yeah.
Then you texted me, sweet backflip. I was like,
Yeah. No, there was quite a few things that were, not great, but fun to watch. I mean, all a movie needs to be is entertaining.
It's the fucking mid '80s, man. Come on.
Totally.
Well, and that was why it started with Raslin. I mean, it made sense because that was wrestle. The WWF or W whatever it became after that. I lost track during the 80s of Raslin. But if we're going to talk about the golden era of, like the Hulk Hogan and that whole thing, that really was the pinnacle of Raslin in the 80s. So it made sense for it to start out like that. And had I seen this movie when it came out, I'm sure I would have thought much more of it. It's just one of those movies that it's like so many movies from being a little hick growing up in the Indiana Valley. We had we had 2.5 channels. So if something came on TV, it not at that era. It wasn't going to be Highlander. Now Highlander probably was on Fox. Once Fox was a channel, it was probably on Fox like 2 or 3 times a month.
Right.
But that didn't exist on over-the-air antenna at that point.
I think that this is one of those movies that you need to see in the theater when it came out, or on VHS on like a fucking tube TV. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
yeah, rented.
With that whole,
or at 11 o'clock on a weeknight.
Yeah.
Texting one of your buddies, sweet backflip, bro. And some of I think who's the dude that plays the nemesis?
The Kurgan.
Clancy Brown.
Yes.
Yeah.
He, in that look, reminded me so much of, I can't remember, it's Peter something, the singer for...
Peter Steele.
Peter Steele from...
Typo Negative.
Typo Negative, yeah. Let me love you to death.
Black number one.
Yeah. But anyway, I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much if Chris wasn't watching along with me and texting, but it's like, this is the kind of movie that you want to watch with
I
pal.
remember one thing that shook me a little bit was I felt in the show, in the movie specifically, his wife, spoiler, obviously we're getting some spoilers if you haven't seen Highlander, but as he's aging through time, the Highlander, he gets a wife, a girlfriend, then eventually a wife or whatever, and she is a smoke show, like so fucking hot.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Here, you know where I'm going with this.
Chicks, they dig it when man has a long sword.
Well, she's very, very attractive, and I was like, damn. And I started Googling her. I was like, what else has she been in? And the first thing that pops up is a picture of her now. And I looked at that, and I sent the screenshot of smoke show her and current her to Ron. I was like, fuck, getting old is gonna blow. Like fucking wow.
I think I replied, getting? I was thinking about the people that, we talked about this recently on the show where it's like when we run into somebody that we haven't seen in like 10 or 15 years, and we think, oh man, they're getting old. Walking away and like, Jesus, is that what they just thought about me? They had to have. I mean, it's not like we're immune to the aging thing, but
no, I think we're anyway. I could speak for all of us probably that we're all aging fairly well. I can compare to most people.
That's
going on 50 or 50 plus.
That's the spirit. I'll take it.
I agree with you,
I'll take
Lyle.
Just being alive, honestly, and I know Lyle will. But aging is it's not fair. Sometimes we age poorly because of the way we treat our bodies. sometimes we could treat our bodies like temples from start to finish, and shit just ain't
just genetics,
fair.
man.
It just some people will look.
My body's not a temple; it is a vessel and a blank space.
Mine's a fucking roller coaster, and I'm like, wee.
So speaking
Ruptured
of
vessel.
like, so this kind of like brings up kind of what I had something I wanted to bring up, and this kind of like leads into that pretty perfectly, regarding like age and time and all this stuff. So I've been thinking over the last week or so, a thought has struck me where I feel like, let me know what you guys think about this, because this is a conundrum. So I feel like, to me, like the decades like 70s, the 80s, 90s, to me, all have sort of like a distinctive like look and feel to them in my mind.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then about, I don't know, 2000 something, between like 2000, the 2010s to now, I don't see really a difference.
Right.
See,
Yeah.
I see the 2000s now, because I go look back and I see the bands and I see the Limp Bizkits and the styles. But I think it's always like, it takes about 20 years for us to see that difference, I feel.
Do you know what I'm saying though? Because
absolutely.
I feel like when I was like, I don't know, in my 20s, like in the 90s, I definitely felt like, oh, the 80s, that was a whole different time. In the 70s, that was like when I was born and grew up, that was a totally different time. I could feel the difference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And all the way up through. And I'm like, my question is like, is that just because like I'm an old now, so like the last couple decades just seemed the same and I don't see a difference? Or has shit gotten like so homogenous, and it's like kind of like there really is that, not that stretch of, you know what I'm saying?
It's definitely both. I mean, it's certainly both, because styles are, I mean, homogenized. I don't know. Things have gotten so, like, every era is represented in every era. So that has paid it forward to the point where, you know, fashion was kind of funny for like really 100 years. It didn't really change. If you go back and, you know, the doesn't look all that different from the late Western, especially like in the bigger cities in the late Western. The suits and the dresses, they changed a little bit. But then in the modern era, we started getting more fashion, I suppose, like very unique and specific fashions. And then we had a few decades of that. And, you know, there was a time where bell bottoms were brand new. There was a time when certain hairstyles, if not brand new, they were more widely trendy than other periods. And then certainly new fabrics came along. There were fabrics that didn't exist 100 years ago that existed in the 70s. And so many things went into changing the fashion, and so many things went into changing the fashion world, like the development of film, the development of photography, and then TV and all that. And so I think that there is an element to the idea that there were more compartmentalized fashion eras at one point, but
it's like zeitgeist, like the separate zeitgeist, you know what I mean? Like within decades, sort of. Like,
but since the 70s, there have always been people rocking the 70s look. Maybe they never grew out of the 70s and they just kind of rocked it. Since the 50s, same thing, like the rockabilly look, that whole 50s greaser look, which was popular again in the 70s, thanks to plays and films like Grease. So I think that it's one of these like pay it forward sort of things where fashion, once it existed, it was always going to exist. You know what I mean? Like
fashion and culture is a whole different thing. I think what he's talking about is culture. Like the 70s, you think about, you know.
Well, all of it really, because like, you know, like think about things like, you know, when Smashing Pumpkins writes a song about 1979 or whatever, and that was in the 90s, where it's like, oh wow, 1979, that was a totally different time. And like, and me being alive during that time, like I can be like, yeah, that was a totally different time. But it was only like 12 fucking years ago since you wrote this song. You know,
you do a song called 2010 doesn't have the same hit.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it's like to me,
or
like
does it?
2010, 2012. I'm like, that could have been yesterday. Like, what's the difference between the 2010s and now? You know what I mean? Like compared to like the 90s versus the 70s. You know
but to Christopher's point, there is a discernible difference between 2000 and I would say even 2010, but certainly to now. Like the frosted tips and it
takes like 15 fucking years, it feels like, for us to have
for you to see it.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely true. And I've thought about the same exact thing you're talking about before, where it's like, God, it doesn't feel like that long ago, 2010, 2012, you know? Like, God damn,
there's a huge difference, man. If you talk about the 1970s, you're thinking about wood panels, talking about bikes with fucking banana seats. Talking about, banana fucking skateboards. You go into the 80s, you got yourself BMX bikes, you got yourself normal skateboards that we think are normal. You got, it's also the 80s, so you got fucking really vibrant, really fluorescent colors. People are dressing in fucking hot pink. Or they have remember the heat shirts? You put your hand on it.
The temperature control.
Now tell me 2010, Lyle.
And no, I'm going to the 90s, which I like probably the most. And it was a blur. But as you went into the 2000s, I remember the 2000s. I remember cranking up fucking some Prince, little fucking Party Like It Was 1999, getting all fucked up on that was
15,
I will say
15 years old at that point.
But when on, it hasn't changed for me. Everything else, the 2010 until now, nothing really has changed besides.
Doesn't seem that different, does it?
Well, everyone's looking at their fucking iPhone.
But like you were saying, Lyle, the BMX style bikes, the banana seat bikes, the flexible fiberglass skateboards, all of those things at one point were old fashioned, but they also were like they weren't too far from that era as being considered vintage and then retro, then now everything vintage is acceptable. You wouldn't think twice if you saw someone skating down the street, like longboarding it with some 70s looking skinny little surfboard with urethane wheels, because everything vintage and everything retro is trendy at some point. And I do think that in a lot of ways there aren't super specific looks to the last few decades, and I think that is because
not even like the 80s with the hairspray hair.
Vintage we haven't seen the big hair come back, but we've seen the mullets come back. Who fucking would have predicted that? That was the 80s, early 90s, late 80s.
I will say that when I see videos reels or whatever, people posting like the nostalgic shit from the 90s or whatever, I'll look at that from news, from newscasts and whatnot, things like that. I'm like the way people are dressed and the hairstyles and stuff, and just like the way
that's a good measuring stick,
actually.
The
videography and stuff looks. I'm just like, oh wow, we were not that far from the 80s, were we? So I think that what I'm maybe experiencing is kind of what you're talking about, like Chris, or where it's like it takes like 15 years or something for you to feel like the real difference between.
That's what it feels like. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but what does, I don't know.
It's just what does you're in the moment, right? And then it's like maybe like in 2030, we'll look back on the 2015s or whatever and be like, holy shit, wow.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe Donald Trump. Wow.
But what, I mean,
damn it.
I think 2010 is a good place for this discussion, because what does 2010 look like? I mean, that was 15 fucking years ago. Shouldn't we be looking back at 2010? I mean, who was... I guess let's look at pop culture. Who was top 40 music
2010?
2010. What are we looking at?
Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Backstreet Boys. It's going to be all boy bands and shit.
In 2010, that was still... Cause
I'm sorry, 2000. I thought you said 2000. 2010. God, okay. This is exactly what we need to be here for.
Like probably Rihanna was starting to hit, maybe.
Umbrella.
Diddy was already a thing, but what would be the... I'm trying to think of what that...
Kanye, maybe?
Definitely Kanye. I don't know why, but I feel like looking at a Billboard top 40 would help us at least picture things. Okay, so we got Kelly Clarkson, Owl City.
I'm
I don't know who the
thinking
fuck
like
that is.
Linkin Park,
Matchbook.
Eminem,
Rob Thomas.
Disturbed,
God, I hate that Owl City song.
Lady Antebellum.
Slipknot, Sniplot.
A lot of Katy Perry, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. Maroon 5.
Oh, okay. Wait, don't say it. I got a Katie. Something from the thing is in my weird triv.
So it probably won't be. I just want to talk about the backlash that this whole thing's getting.
Okay, great.
A ton of Katy Perry. Christina Aguilera was still in there, but she was probably on the tail end of that. Kelly Clarkson, Gabbing.
That's when the singing shows
5.
were coming out.
Taylor Swift was still doing her thing.
2010,
Mumford and Sons. Tons of Bruno Mars. Justin Timberlake was Lord, Pharrell Williams, John Legend. So I don't know. This is, I don't, at this point, like, I mean, if I want to talk about like fashion, I can see Justin Timberlake in 2003 more than I can in 2010. And I think that goes with a lot of these performers. Justin Bieber, I mean, he's still a weird fashion.
He's like 12.
Statement. Yeah, he would have been. Adele was up and coming. See, I don't know. I don't feel like this is helping.
Yeah.
So like this, I mean, if you picture these people from 2010.
It's just emerged as a...
Yeah, it's hard because like some of these are still relevant today.
Well, let's look up 2010 fashion.
Yeah, it's full on streaming. You don't have to leave the house anymore. I think COVID did a huge fuck over on us too. When you had to work from home if you could,
COVID did a fuck over on everything. Yeah, COVID kind of ruined us as a society. Yeah, I'm looking at a whole lot of things. I put in 2010 fashion. This looks like everything I'm seeing now. I don't know. I still think that our fashion trends now are mostly throwback trends or variations of throwback trends more than they are anything else. Kind of like music, It's like there's only so much you can do. There's only so many things you can pull from. And that's what I was saying. It's like once the modern era hit, and once we were in the time of internet, easily found, easily digested media. Well, even before the internet, magazines and TV, which was brand new in the 70s. I mean, really was just a couple decades old in terms of being like super household. There are plenty of families in the 50s, just 20 years before the 70s, that didn't even own a fucking TV. So the idea of these trends, I think, are still relatively new-ish.
Really, yikes.
And so there's only so many things that haven't been discovered.
When was the last time you read a book?
Like an hour ago.
What's that?
Like an hour ago?
A couple nights ago.
Oh, really?
Well, I retract my point.
Was it a book or was it a tablet?
No, I gave up on reading.
Actual book.
I do a lot of audiobooks, but I can't read books on the phone or a tablet anymore. I tried that. It hurts. But no, I read with paper books all the time. But I do way more audiobooks than anything. Anyway.
Well, because when I'm in dialysis, I got like 5 hours to kill, so I did throw a book in my bag. But like, seriously, the last time I read a book has been years. Mm-hmm. It's been a long fucking time. I'll read, obviously on a computer screen or a tablet or something like that. I could do it, but I'd prefer to have a book.
I can read super long essays, and I can do tons of research. Obviously, and my entire world is staring at a fucking screen. A bunch of text and editing and writing. But when it comes to like fiction, if I'm going to read, I need it to be on paper or an audiobook. I mean, way more.
Well, it's kind of more of a throwback to the original answer, that John Mark, the question he put out was, the different, decades.
Have times changed?
Because, 80s, man. Fuck, you had to go to the library, you need to, do you know what a fish is? I guarantee I wish I had kids. Just so I could sit there and school them on everything they have no fucking clue about.
I just let you have mine for a bit, Lyle.
Tell them how much their taste sucks. You don't fucking know. Name one Misfit song.
You know what a Rolodex is? You know what a freaking...
What was the last book? Let's go around the horn. What was the last paper book each one of you read? John Mark, I think you read all the time, but I don't think the rest of us do.
the last book that I read, so I've been reading two books recently. One of them was a sort of a memoir from the guy who was the drummer / guitar player for Alien Sex Fiend for a while. Rat Fink, Andrew Wood, I think his name is.
Andrew Wood. I know that guy.
So I've been reading that, and I've also been reading this book. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's about the correlation between Judge Dredd comics and the state of policing in the UK and the US over the last several decades.
The similarities of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Lyle, Lyle, what about you?
I believe it was. I just want to I have all the Lord of the Rings, the original ones on paperback.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably one of those.
Those are such fun books to read.
Yeah, it's one of the original ones too. I got the trilogy of the first round.
Mm-hmm.
The original ones from 1973 or something like that.
Chris, last paper book?
Where Are Your Boys Tonight? The Oral History of Emo.
Oh,
nice.
Interesting.
And it was a joy.
My last paper book was Needful Things.
I need to look into that.
Wow, you would like it. And I did actually.
Not that. I would talk about Ron and his audiobooks.
Oh,
I should look into that. Because
and to be fair, I mostly do audiobooks these days too, and that wasn't a paper, it was an audiobook, but yeah.
Yeah, well, Audible is what, 10, 12 something bucks a month?
It's not cheap, and my beef with Audible is these credits stack up sometimes for me, and if I want to pause, I can't. And if I want to take a break and come back,
the credits, which is bullshit.
Yeah.
But I find that it's worth it because I do, you get busy, you listen to podcasts, you do other things, and then all of a sudden you got like 4 or 5. I usually have no fewer than 12 credits. I've been cruising through some though. But yeah, look into it. And you don't have to do Audible. There are LibriVox. There's all sorts of ones that do like public domain books and a lot of indie books and stuff. But if you want all the stuff, the classics, Audible or one of the library ones.
And pro tip, if you get a library card, you get access to, I think it's called, is it Libby?
Libby,
and you can just check books out, audio books out digitally. It's great.
For free. It's part of the library card. What was I going to say? It was
fun. I'd like to get like the Morgan Freeman.
Once you get into they're super fun because it's like, I can get through books. I can get through a book in a normal human being time, even faster. But also, Lyle, there are a ton of free books just by free.
Oh no, I do. I know that. I've got like on filmmaking and videography and all that stuff. I have like over 100 books.
Well, I mean,
that are all PDF files that I have saved in
on Audible, and they're not technically free. Once you're paying the monthly thing, there's a ton of books that you don't have to buy. You don't have to give a credit to. They're just free. One of them that I just got through was a novel called Full Service. I can't remember I can look it up here in a minute. It's by a dude who in the 1920s or 30s, it must have been a little bit later. He was working at a gas station in Hollywood, and some very famous actors pulled up and invited him to a party. He ended up going to the party, and these very famous actors wanted to pay him to have sex. He wasn't gay, but he was like, okay, I will go have sex with these very famous people for money because I'm going to get way more than I did at the gas station. And he started having all this fucking sex with dudes for money, mostly famous people in Hollywood, in sort of a golden era of Hollywood. Eventually, he started having sex with women, and when he had his first sexual encounter with a woman, he was like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely not gay. I am all about the pussy. But even after that, he still had sex with men, not always because he was paid, but it's a really crazy, convoluted story. And they made, I think it was Netflix that made a series based on this. And I watched the first few episodes. I lost track of it. I don't know if it's still a thing. I think it was just called Hollywood. It was loosely based on this guy's story. Young, handsome dude who and he names names. And listen, it is a fascinating fucking tale, and it's free. So if you subscribe to Audible, it lasts. I mean, this was just a couple months ago that I listened to it. Fucking fascinating, and a really interesting reminder. You shouldn't need these kinds of reminders, but sex is sex, and it's these sort of ins and outs, no pun intended, of everything related to sex and censorship and things that the government's doing to try to repress certain types of sexuality. It's like all these stories are nothing new. Absolutely. I mean, of course they're not. They're in the fucking Bible, for God's sake. But it's still interesting to just hear. He was an 82, 83-year-old man when he wrote this novel, and he did it with help from somebody because, he couldn't, his mind was solid, but he wasn't a typist and all this. And that's very clearly marked where some of the details had to be kind of exaggerated upon. But for the most part, it's this dude's word, and no one's ever really shot him down. And let me tell you, it is scandalous and fucking fascinating from start to finish. Full service. Here's my book recommendation for y'all. I've been going through this weird rabbit hole of Hollywood scandals in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. And I'm working on a soup de genre in the not too distant future. Probably be a 2 or 3 episode series, actually. Because every time I think I've got it, there's more fucking details. And all I'll tell you is it involves Hollywood, Satanism, Aleister Crowley, and space travel. And
fucking
it is
hell.
Fucking incredible. I can't wait to tell the story. I'm just trying to put it into anyway, we'll get there at some point. Well, where's your alarm at, Chris? Because I got some news stories to get through.
We got about 15 minutes, but one thing I wanted to do is read some Facebook comments. I want to get back in the habit of doing that. Let me read just a few. Let me ring off a few. Thank you guys for commenting. It's always really nice to get a little feedback from the listeners, even if it's just like our Ben that just says, "Can't wait to listen." Thanks, Ben.
Yeah.
Sarah Ray Shields says, I love Taking Back Sunday and have never seen them live either. So jealous. And Chris, not a big Coheed fan either, but I have seen them live and love the show. Well, perhaps I will break myself away from just drinking bottles of wine at the winery to go catch a couple of tracks from Coheed. But you should get a ticket. Everyone should get tickets. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Sarah Ray Shields also went on to say, the first question for Weird Trivia could have been its whole own episode, I Was Dying, which was the question, I believe, about who plowed into Barbara Bush.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Jeff Hall asks, Ron, you did watch Highlander, correct?
Well,
so I'm glad we got
that answered.
Yeah, definitely. That's all I got for this roundup. But please leave your comments. I'll be reading them every episode, or I will try to.
Yeah. Well, on the topic of Coheed, I don't know if this came up last time we were talking about it, but I've been aware of them, and I thought it was cool that the singer does his own comic books. And a lot of the songs that he writes are about the comics and vice versa. But John Mark and I saw Coheed accidentally.
Open for Iron Maiden.
Open for Iron Maiden.
No
and
shit.
Yeah, I think we were of the same mind about it. Where it's like, yeah, I get it, but it's just there's something that just doesn't quite grab us. And I think it's more generational than anything. But holy shit. Motherfucker can sing, and that band is phenomenal. Like, they are, no one can say that band doesn't fucking smoke up there on stage. And, to open up for Iron Maiden is like, I can only imagine I don't know if that was the first show we saw together, John Mark, or the second. The other one was Dream Theater, and it's like, okay, well, that band makes sense to open up. Not that Coheed didn't make sense, but it's like, Dream Theater had been around for 20, 30 years at that point. Coheed was fairly, not new, but they were a new-ish band. But yeah, they were fun to watch, and it's like it's one of those things where that was at White River in Auburn, and maybe a third, well, maybe not quite half full auditorium. People were still getting their drinks and their hot dogs and working their way toward the Iron Maiden set. That throws the vibe of a performance. It's like And even then, I thought that Coheed had a pretty smoking set. Not as good as Dream Theater, but it couldn't possibly be. But anywho, well, why don't we move on to a few of these news stories? I'll save the others for the next episode. But did you see this story about the guy who conned his way into performing a butt lift removal surgery?
No. Wait, performing one? Or
This is so fucking weird. So
I've been looking for a guy, so
Well, this was undoing one.
Oh, he like
I'm not implying that you need one there. Yeah,
thank you, Ron.
A BBLR, if you will.
Oh my God.
So fake doctor stories come up all the time, but usually it's like you do some rudimentary things and then you get caught and then you blow town, or you set up a little bit of shop and then you take some money to schedule some big procedures for big money and then blow town. This motherfucker actually went through with the procedure. So let me read this.
God.
A Queens man posing as a doctor was charged with assault. I got a feeling those charges might change. And practicing medicine without a license after a woman went into cardiac arrest during a botched cosmetic surgery at a makeshift home clinic, according to an internal police report. The man, Felipe Hoyos Ferrando, 38, tried to flee the United States after the woman became unresponsive. According to the report, officers caught up with him at Kennedy Airport last Friday. This is not a brand new story. It's a couple weeks old. As he waited to board the first leg flight to Cambodia. The woman, 31 years old, was taken to a hospital by emergency medical workers where she was intubated, and according to a criminal complaint filed on Saturday by the Queens District Attorney, she has no brain activity, and she is not likely to survive. It's unclear who called 911 to report her condition. The woman, who has not been publicly identified, had come to the clinic to have her buttock implants removed. And according to the internal police report, prosecutors said Mr. Hoyos Ferranda used a syringe to inject her with lidocaine, an anesthetic, and that her condition appeared to be consistent with lidocaine toxicity because he wasn't a fucking doctor and he just put some shit into a girl. The last I could find, she's still in the ICU.
Damn. That's wild.
He put it in her butt, Bob.
He put it in her butt and may have put her in the ground. This is the thing that gets me. It's like, okay, you're a con man. Run your con, take people's money, get the fuck out of town like an old school con man. But to actually have the fucking audacity to try to perform the thing, that I can't get there in my head. Like, how do you think that is how far you take this fucking con? Because it was a prepay scenario from what the story said.
That's crazy.
Get the fuck out of town.
Does it say
like, how hard could it be?
I think that's exactly what he thought. I slept in the La Quinta last night. Sorry, John Marco.
Did he actually cut her open and stuff? Or
I don't think he got that far.
He just lidocaine.
He just overdosed her. Well, actually,
injected her with lidocaine, and then she had a reaction to it, and he was like, "Oh fuck, I'm out."
I think that's what he was starting to cut into her. I think by the time she had that reaction, because at first they thought that she might have been stabbed. I think is one of the reports I read, but not a lot of details.
Is like a topical anesthetic. It's not like a general anesthetic, so it would be like.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
of course, I'm not trying to use it on
going
a
to the dentist and having someone inject you and be like some fake dentist injecting shit into your fucking jaw and being like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna pull this tooth out now."
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what the fuck,
man. I don't want to victim shame here at all, but there is we got to be careful, folks. We've talked about this. There was all those lap band surgeries that were happening down in Mexico, and so many people were dying from those because they weren't. It was just this one specific place that no one was looking into, and this procedure happened at this guy's home. So we got to be more careful. I
That's
know
fucking nuts.
the medical industry
Don't go to
sucks.
somebody's house to get any kind of procedure done. It's a general rule.
It's a
I don't
general
even buy
rule.
weed from somebody's house any longer, you know?
In case you're wondering,
look into
just
the weed
don't go
guy.
to somebody's house. If they're a therapist, maybe, but look into it first, right? Like,
yeah, for real, man. That's nuts. It's really tragic, honestly.
It is sad. And I didn't bring it up as it being a funny thing or a kooky thing. I brought it up because I hear people talking in my own, not super close circle of friends, but people talking out and about, oh, my friend knows a guy that does blah, blah, blah. Even like piercings and tattooing.
no.
Like if you're gonna go to somebody's house and do that, look, understand that this is enough to kill you or injure you or paralyze you or infect you or cause you to lose a limb. People who don't know what they're doing with these things, a sliver can give you an infection that can cause you to lose your fucking arm if it doesn't get treated enough. So when you're going to these people's houses and just trusting them to do their thing, and the tattooing thing and piercing thing especially, I hear people talking all the fucking time about using their friend. They've been doing it for a while. It's like, I'm sure they have, but that doesn't mean that they are using the same practices. And even if they, like, you're covered under a certain thing, like if you're using a licensed and bonded and medically approved facility to do these kinds of things, then at the very least, if something goes haywire, you got some sort of coverage. You got some sort of legal standing point. If you're just going to go do something at somebody's house, I don't think that that's the case. I don't think you got a whole lot of ground to stand on. I mean, you might get a good lawyer that could get you something there, but that's kind of beside the point if you had to lose your fucking arm.
Well,
anyway,
the deal is you get what you pay for, and if you want to pay cheaply for a tattoo, you're probably going to get a cheap tattoo.
Well, you hope that's infection. The worst you get.
Yeah, staph infection.
Let's talk, since we teased. We got to talk about
let's do it. Like I said, I have a news triv.
If we start going anywhere that is stepping on it, then shut us down.
Here's what I want you to not avoid.
Okay.
Any kind of song that might have been sang up in the space.
I don't know that, and that's not. I have nothing except I saw the little clip of them screaming as they're landing, and a lot of people were giving them shit, like, "Oh, look at all these women screaming." It's like, motherfucker, I would be screaming my fucking face off. I scream on a roller coaster, and that's on terra firma. So that I didn't get behind, but holy shit, are people ruthless? Like, I haven't heard people coming against a bunch of rich folks just doing something for the fun of it since a handful of them died in the ocean going down to see the Titanic. But people are not having this at all. I get the tone deafness of it, with the economy and everyone's freaking out about money and shit. And then I think we're all kind of tired of celebrities. We're all kind of tired of these rich motherfuckers. But holy shit, are they just getting roasted? Have you guys seen the blowback that they're getting from this?
I haven't even seen what you're talking about.
Well, it was Gayle King, who's a talk show host and a journalist associated with Oprah.
Oprah, yeah.
She was one of the Oprah. She started on Oprah somehow, and then definitely has had her own career. Katy Perry, the wife of Jeff Bezos, or the girlfriend of Jeff Bezos, and I can't remember the other celebrities. The names didn't jump out at me. Maybe they weren't all celebrities, but 6 or 7 women, I think, that went up, and there's blowback because they're being called astronauts, even though they had 2 days of training before they went up to space for 3 minutes and came back down. But I think mostly people
near space.
Yeah. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on this? Should we care? I feel like I don't super care. I'm more fascinated that they have gotten so much hate. Like, I can't quite understand
I mostly think that Katy Perry is so fucking obnoxious. Like, she goes up for 2 minutes in space, immediately upon exiting the capsule, kisses the ground, like, gets down and kisses the soil. Like, we just had astronauts stuck up at the space station for like
I
a
sent you guys
year.
that meme.
Yeah.
It was like, I can't remember what it was,
Yes.
but it was like, we just had what was the meme? I'm going to pull it up. Finish
Did
your
you see
thought.
the video of Jeff Bezos falling in the
Eating it,
hole?
just fucking biffing it.
He's like, God damn it.
That was good.
Oh, the meme is, it's Katy Perry
Sorry,
kissing the
Jeff.
ground. Katy Perry kisses the ground after 11-minute flight in space. And then it's it's a Photoshop of the meme of that dude standing in some auditorium with, arms akimbo, like, really, motherfucker?
Oh, really?
With the faces of the astronauts that just made it back. But another aspect of this story that is interesting is that so many people are analyzing the footage and claiming that it was fake. Have you seen these?
No.
Oh God!
Like when,
I saw some of that.
I know
Yeah, but
everything
it's
is supposed to be analyzed as being fake these days, but I gotta say,
Fake news.
look back on the footage. There's a shot, I think it's of Jeff Bezos, pushing the door open. The door goes in, which everyone's like, is that normally how it goes? Because typically every spacecraft I've seen, the doors go out. I don't think that that's a big deal, but he like pushes the door open like it's a fucking, those, we don't see these as much anymore, but the old restaurant doors that were like two steel, like swinging doors, saloon doors. Like he pushed that, it opened like that. And then he's like, oh no, we need to get the cameras here so we can do a proper, and I didn't think that meant that it was fake. It was like, no, we got to get the proper shot. The only reason these people are doing it really is to get the proper shot. And so they reset that, and then everyone's analyzing the door. They're analyzing the mechanics. People are claiming AI on the video of it launching. I don't know about
I am
any of that.
100% sure that this is not a fucking Capricorn 1 situation. God damn it!
It would be a
It's
pretty
just like-
sad thing to fake.
Right. I mean, they went up in Jeff Bezos's penis rocket, and they were in near Earth orbit for a few minutes, and they came back down. It's whatever it is. Like, just stop with your fucking bullshit.
The rocket just hit the tip of space. You know what I'm saying?
It
Just the tip, just soaked in space,
just the tip.
a little bit of soaking in space, and then came back down. Listen, if I was on that fucking thing, I would tell people for the rest of my life I've been to space. So
Right.
I don't knock
For
people
sure.
for calling it being in space. If you are above the blue sky and in
If you can see the
darkness
Earth
and
from
stars,
below, yeah.
look, I'm in space, motherfucker. I don't know. We're in a funny place right now because so many people are fed up with rich people and right wingers, left wingers. We're fed up of celebrities. I think we're tired of seeing the same people
rightfully
over
so.
and over and over and over again. And we are in a very stressful and puzzling time. Again, right wing or left wing, because financial is financial. And most of us are looking at this next year and being like, well, how's this all going to go? A lot of question marks, a lot of stress. And I think to see, I don't remember how expensive these trips are. It's a lot, but look, these are millionaires.
Ridiculous.
They're millionaires. We don't seem to give a shit that they buy 10 houses. They got a house in France. They got a house in. So it's funny the things that bug us. And I get why we're bothered by this, but I'm not specifically bothered by this. The Katy Perry thing, it seems like most people are talking about Katy Perry. Is that the thing that bothered you? Was that she just kissed the
I just
ground?
thought she was obnoxious as shit. Like, and I'll get to one more piece of that puzzle during train trip.
Well, that's all I had to say about it. We just had to bring it up because it just happened. And
yeah, for sure.
The very first thing that I saw about it was people like, mostly women, like, okay, so a bunch of rich bitches went up to space and I'm supposed to give a shit? Like, well, but then everything that I saw, I don't think I saw one positive story about this trip to fucking space. And yes, I did.
I don't think there's anything positive to say about it. Honestly.
I did see a loop edit of Bezos eating dust, falling on his faceos over and over and over again. It's like, oh, even the richest man in the world, second richest man in the world, can fall in a fucking hole in the dirt. as his cock rocket comes back from the tip of space. Anyway.
Oh God! Just the memes they make themselves.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick little break here, and then I got some fun weird trivia for us.
All right, sounds good.
It's Weird Trivia with Christopher F. Hart, a man from Florida who thinks square shit in nature. Don't get you started on the goddamn brown hair. It's Weird Trivia that might get Christopher fired.
All right, guys, let's get right into this here. Well, question one. Katy Perry went to space this week, and we all learned just how fucking annoying she is. After being in space for approximately 3 minutes and returning to Earth, she kissed the ground. We also found out that during the pinnacle of her trip, she graced her group with a little song. What song did Katy Perry sing while up in quote-unquote space? Was it A, What a Wonderful World?
Oh.
Was it B, Space Oddity?
Oh.
Ground control
to Katy Perry.
Was it C, I Kissed a Girl by Katy Perry?
She had a few girls to kiss up in space. Wonder if she did kiss a girl in space.
You know what I'm saying?
Or was it D,
Two
Two Tickets to Paradise by motherfucking Eddie Money?
Oh, Eddie Money.
I got two tickets to see the stars. Okay, well, I don't dare chase that.
That's your first mistake, Ron.
Oh, it might be, and it won't be my last. Okay, I'm sorry, real quick. The answers.
What a Wonderful World, Space Oddity, I Kissed a Girl and I Liked It, or Two Tickets to Paradise.
Well, I'm okay with any of these except Wonderful World, which is probably the one she did. I was somehow expecting you to say Imagine. Remember the whole debacle during COVID when Gal Gadot, whatever her name is. Remember that she got a whole bunch of celebrities to do Imagine There's No Heaven. And it was just like super cheesy, and it had a backfire too. Well, I'm glad that everyone's forgot about that. But I'm going to go with What a Wonderful World, because that's just cheesy enough to be perfect. But I would prefer I Kissed a Girl if she kissed one of those ladies up in space. That's I'm on team that.
Okay. John Mark?
Yeah, I'm going with Wonderful World also. I don't know why. I don't know. It just seems right.
Okay.
If it's Two Tickets to Paradise, I'm going to be angered.
I'm going with Bowie.
Right.
Ground control to Katy Perry. Please put that flower down. Someone should have told you daisies are a weed. Now you spread the evil seed into the... Okay.
Question 2. What country in the world suffers the most extreme weather?
Ooh.
Is it A, the United States of America?
Wow, we cover enough ground.
Is it Mexico? Is it Haiti?
Well, why you got to be a Haiti hater?
Or is it China? China.
Huh.
Again, U.S., Mexico,
trees.
Haiti, or China? Who suffers the most extreme weather? Ronster.
That was interesting. I mean, we're the United States, so we kind of only hear about the United States. And I feel like we got some pretty extreme fucking weather. We got hurricanes, we got Tornado Alley, we got nor'easters, we got fires and lightning and tsunamis. Jesus, we got it all. I mean, I gotta go the United States, but only because I don't hear a lot about shit happening anywhere else unless it's really fucked up. Like, of course, we heard about all the tsunamis. What was it, like 10 years ago? Where was that earthquake that brought all those massive tsunamis? Remember watching the fucking footage of that shit? That was somewhere in Asia. Was
yeah.
that Japan?
Well, there was one in Japan for sure. Yeah.
I feel like I mean, I know tsunamis. There've been more than one tsunami.
Thailand, Cambodia, or something too.
Thailand just had a gnarly earthquake. Yeah. I'm going to go with the United States. I mean, if anyone that's got more brutal weather than us, we cover a shit ton of real estate, so we kind of got it all.
That is true. Yeah.
That's my reasoning.
John Mark.
I'm just trying to think of like geography, right?
I feel like I never hear about weather in Mexico.
Right? Well,
I know they have it.
Well, of course, everybody does. But,
what's the weather exchange in Mexico?
Kind of like Texas. It's a little bit
well, Texas itself gets enough fucking crazy. With Texas and Florida alone get a shit ton of crazy weather.
Aztec, man. Think about it.
I'm gonna go with Haiti.
That is interesting because by far the smallest of the countries. That'd be a bummer.
All right, Lyle.
Yeah, I have no reason why, but I want to say Haiti too because it was the first one that popped in my mind. Even though the United States does have a lot of shit going on.
Sure.
I mean name one thing we don't get.
I would eliminate that process by whatever's coastal. And put that towards the top of that question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Question 3. What animals engage in a process called cuddle death? Again, what animals will engage in a process called cuddle death?
I don't know why I laughed because it's probably tragic.
Is it A, pandas?
Aw. Cuddle death.
Is it B, honeybees?
All right. Well, they don't seem very cuddly.
Is it C, gorillas?
Gorilla.
Orangutan. See,
or is it D, water snakes?
Oh, it's kind of again. You'd say sloth.
What? Yeah. What animals engage in a process called cuddle death? And I will explain what it is. Is it pandas, honeybees, gorillas, or water snakes? Ronster.
Interesting. I'm trying to think of what a cuddle death could even be. I mean, on the surface, it could just be something squeezing you to death. But I know in the bee kingdom, there's a thing where sometimes they suffocate the queen, like they kill the queen. And they all do that by like pile driving her and crushing her.
just fucking taking her down.
But to call that cuddle death, like a snake. Water snake specifically. Is an anaconda a water snake? They swim, don't they?
My anaconda don't want none unless you.
I'm gonna go with bees only because I know that there's some. That can't be cuddle death. Bees? What are the other panda bears?
Pandas, bees, gorillas, or water snakes?
Gorillas. Boy, you would want to be Big Spoon with a gorilla, wouldn't you? I'm gonna go with bees just because I know that there's a thing that they do. I'm not eloquently saying it, but I
think you are.
I read about it once where they'll just turn on the queen. I don't remember why, but they like strangle and suffocate her. So that's my thought.
Okay. John Mark.
Snakes aren't typically considered to be cuddly.
Well, none of these really are. Well, pandas, I suppose.
I'll go with snakes.
Yeah, I mean it's
snakes on a plane.
You could see that being a colloquialism for be constricted to death.
All right, Lyle.
I'm going with the pandas, koalas.
Ooh, all over the map here. I like it.
Well, see, I almost expected him to say koala too, because koalas do that thing where they just like hug. They're the huggy bear, but it didn't come up. But maybe pandas are a similar thing. Well, we're all over the map on that one.
Question 4. Let's talk about The Rock for a minute. No, not the wrestling sensation turned movie star. Sorry, Lyle. But the federal prison off the coast of San Francisco that was in operation
Alcatraz.
from 1934 to 1963. Life at Alcatraz was by all accounts a tough one, though they had one amenity that no other federal prison at the time afforded their inmates. What was that amenity? What was something you could get at Alcatraz that had no other federal prison offered?
Alka-Seltzer.
Lube.
Lube.
Calm down, Lyle. We'll get
boy.
there.
That is solid gold in prison.
Rock solid. Ayo. Okay. What was it? Was it A, 3 meals a day, as opposed to other prisons that only allowed for 2?
Okay.
Was it B, hot water?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's so important to happiness.
Was it C, toilet paper?
Ooh, even more important to happiness.
Or was it D, sunscreen rations?
Well, this was sunny California.
Alcatraz.
Again, The Rock, in operation from 1934 to 1963, was a tough place to be, but they did have one amenity that no other federal prisons had. I mean, it was one of these things. Was it 3 meals a day, hot water, teepee for your bunghole, or sunscreen rations?
Sunscreen rations, interesting because, like I said, this is sunny California, although it is Northern California, as they say, which is so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
If you look at a map of California, I think it's south of the middle. But that shows how LA thinks they're the entire state for the most part. God, I got no reasoning there beyond that. But are you going to be sunning out? And I'm trying to picture Alcatraz. I'm not looking it up. I want to. I feel like there's not a ton of
sunbathing locations,
beach proper time. Okay, 3 meals,
hot water, toilet paper.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with hot water. I mean, I think I'd be torn between that and toilet paper. But if you have hot water, you can, do the old reach around. I mean, who doesn't clean their nethers in a hot shower with your bare hand?
Totally. Yeah.
Hot water for sure.
Okay.
I mean, that's my guess.
John Mark.
Let's do sunscreen.
Okay.
I'm going to be pissed if I talk myself out of.
I got to be honest. The results of this weird trip have been fascinating so far.
God,
so far fascinating. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Lyle.
My mic is really loud on my end. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna educate you guys first.
Oh, please. I've been waiting long.
Teach us.
I think this is why. All right?
Okay.
So, as a professional and now retired for a few years of whitewater kayaking, I can tell you that glacier-fed water is fucking freezing. Right? You have to have the safety gear, man. You have to have 1/4-inch freaking neoprene on. You will die. You know what I mean? So what they did was they gave you comfort with hot water. Because with the comfort of the hot water, it's a total shock to the system if you were to try to escape and try to swim.
What a fascinating
Your body would go into shock and you would die.
Sean Connery would have never made it.
Sean Connery, he would have made it.
Cold.
Okay, let's go over the answers here
and
and see how this turned out.
Charlie would have brought his own spy boat and fucking sailed away.
Winners go home and fuck the pumpkin.
Damn right.
Which I couldn't say right, but I don't care.
That's what winners
There
do.
can be only one. Speaking of,
well, remember when we did an episode a long time ago, or at least we did a little story on the people that escaped from Alcatraz and how fucking crazy it was that they did it. They most likely died somewhere in the sea, but
dumbasses. Sean Connery on Highlander was paid $1 million and filmed all of his scenes in 5 days because he was so busy. Anyways, all right, question 1.
It's working.
Katy Perry. Everyone is kind of ragging on the women that went into space this week, especially Katy Perry because she's kind of obnoxious. When she got to the tippy top up there, She sang a little song for everyone, and it was indeed what a wonderful world.
Yeah.
Ron and John Mark starting off strong here with a point apiece.
Yeah.
I would have been tickled if it was two tickets to paradise. Oh my god! You fucking imagine how excited I would have been.
Honestly, wouldn't have minded losing.
I think it would have fit.
Fuck. I've got 2 tickets to. Ah!
Why are we falling?
But seriously, I mean, come on. You can talk shit about these people all you want for being rich and bragging about going to space. I get it. But the people that are making fun of these women for screaming, look at that fucking drop from that initial initial shoot to that main shoot is a fucking drop. They have no reason to know that it's going to be okay at that stage.
I would be turning my attention more to the people that went in space, like near space, and did fucking in near space and came back.
Fucking.
That's more my. I'd rather listen to that story.
Well, here's my question.
It's a real thing. They did
Elon has
study.
Elon has never ridden on his own rocket. Has Bezos?
Yes,
I think he did.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Did he?
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Question 2. The country in the world that suffers the most extreme weather is indeed the United States of America.
Okay.
Ronster, 2 points. Now, the United States has the world's most extreme weather. No other region of the world suffers from a combination of hurricanes, tornadoes, droughts, floods, wildfires, blizzards, heat waves, and cold snaps.
Yeah.
We get it all.
We do.
You are dead on because of the expansive nature of our country and where we sit.
Where we sit
Just,
on the We almost touched the equator. We almost touched the north.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What animals engage in a process called the cuddle death? It's not pandas. I'm sorry, Lyle. It's not water snakes. I'm sorry, John Mark. It's not gorillas.
No.
It's fucking honeybees.
It's the queen thing, yeah?
Worker bees will gather around their queen and vibrate, cooking her to death when a new one is ready to take over. This is known as cuddle death or balling.
Well, I thought they did that to
balling
though too, like wasps.
They do, and they absolutely do that to the murder hornets as well. It's a learned behavior, and they know how to fucking do it. So, well done, Ronster. 3 for 3 here so far.
Feeling
It's
pretty
gonna
good.
heat you up. Heat you up real good.
I'm not so nervous about this 4th question.
We're going to return to The Rock. So it was in operation from 1934 to 1963. Life was tough there, but they did have one amenity that no other federal prison has. And that was fucking hot water. Ronster. 4 for 4. And let me tell you, Lyle was so fucking dead on. The prison staff felt the inmates would find the waters of the San Francisco Bay too cold and almost impossible to withstand during an escape if they got accustomed to hot water.
No shit.
So it was absolutely a deterrent to keep people from escaping. But Ronster, 4 for 4. When does that happen, man?
Psychopathic.
I haven't remembered a sweep. I mean, I feel like I just cuddle deathed this entire game.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you did.
Y'all got balled.
Yeah, you got balled, bitches.
you got balled.
You feeling it, huh? You feeling them smacking against you?
Yeah.
They're freshly shaven.
All 4 of
so
them.
nice and smooth, but still my balls. All right. Well, that's exciting.
Oh, nice job, man.
Yeah. I don't expect that to be a repeat next week.
No.
But I guess we'll have to tune in to find out.
Yeah,
Tune in next week.
Fucking fascinating. They gave them hot water
Mm-hmm.
so they would freeze if they tried to escape because they were
Exactly.
acclimated to warmth. Fucking fascinating. And what crazy science, what crazy scientific thinking that someone had to do there, you know?
Psychopathic.
Like, let's give them,
Totally.
what are you saying, John Mark?
Psychopathic.
Well, psychopathic, sure. Well, that was fun.
Yep. Good round, guys. Let's call it a night so we can record again next week.
Let's do it. Tune in next week. I'm pretty sure we're going to be talking about 9/11 and maybe some other things. We'll have to wait and see. I do always forget to. I want to start doing more feedback, and it's funny that Christopher already was on this same wavelength. We want more feedback. I got a handful of emails, but they have slowed over the years, so we should do a feedback show every few months. And then a couple times a year, and then now never. But I have a whole bunch of emails, but I feel like we could get some more, and I want some that maybe are a bit more current. So what email should we send people to? How about radarstationart@gmail.com? Radarstationart@gmail.com. Send your questions, some stories, spooky stories. We used to get some amazing ghost stories.
Oh my God, yes.
Weird sightings of Sasquatch in the woods, tales from...
Your dick pics, whatever you got, we will take them.
We got a lot of titty pics and the tales from the space pod era. For some reason, those have slowed as well.
Not complaining.
Nope, never did complain. All right, y'all. Tune in next week. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. Oh, you did the old Tales from the Space Pod.
I did.
Except
it's coming back to me. Yeah.
I think about that every now and again. All right, night, y'all.
Night, guys. You're the worst cat I've ever owned, but I love you.
Well, enjoy your time at work, meow. Looks like
I got
this
carpet up.
Turtle head poking out. Better make my way to your bedroom.